When you light your candle, would you please lift the light for James Foley, for Stephen Sotloff, for Peter Kasich, for their legacy, for the light that they shone on the suffering of the world. And will you hold them and their loved ones in your prayers?
One of our guests knows what life is like at ground zero in the fight against terror, as they seek to save some of the innocents and keep from becoming a statistic themselves. First up, he's co-founder and executive director of the Preemptive Love Coalition, an organization based in Iraq that provides life-saving heart surgeries to Iraqi children and also provides training for local doctors. He is also the author of Preemptive Love, Pursuing Peace, One Heart at a Time. Let's welcome Jeremy Courtney to MidPoint. Jeremy, thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much.
And next up, U.S. Army veteran and Islamic World expert with the group MahdiWatch.org. It's a pleasure to welcome Tim Furnish back to MidPoint. Tim, thanks for being here.
Glad to be back, Ed.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this. Jeremy, let me get to you first. I looked up some of the numbers. According to aidworkersecurity.org, at least 155 aid workers were killed in 2013. That's a 121% increase on 70 recorded killings the year before. And there have been more in 2014. How safe do you feel on a daily basis?
Well, it really depends on where we are in the world. When we're among the people who are in need, in many cases we feel extremely safe. When we're out in and among the homes, the tents, the buildings to which they've fled, we feel like we're with people that we care about. We're with people who would protect us. We are, in many ways, even though we have crossed enemy lines, we're with people who would care for us. And so there's danger around us, to be sure, but when we're with people that we're serving all across Iraq, from Kirkuk to Baghdad to Diyala, we're with people who would care for us, and we do feel safe.
Jeremy, do you feel that you are targets, that there are people out looking and who are stalking you because they believe they can get money for you?
Sure, I'm sure those people are out there, and we do try to take precautions, not only to keep ourselves and our staff reasonably safe, but also to protect those communities among which we move. We actually present a risk to them in many cases, and so we do seek to be wise in how we go about serving those in need. But we have weapons. They're not conventional weapons, they're not guns, but we're armed with ideas, we're armed with services that do very much help keep us safe.
Tim, let me get to you. When it comes down to the reality on the ground, it certainly seems that anymore these people, these aid workers are targets simply because they are easy for people like ISIS. But not just ISIS, it's the Taliban as well. We don't want to forget them because it is across the board these terrorists who want to find these easy targets, correct?
Right, and you identified the first of what I identified as four, Ed, reasons why I think that particularly the Islamic groups, and it's not just in the Middle East, it's in North Africa, it's South Asia, other places, will take aid workers. The first is, as you said, they're easy pickings, unfortunately. The second is because they aren't, because they can be ransomed, often for money, although ISIS does seem to buck that trend to some extent. And the third and fourth reasons are that because they're foreigners, and we'll just call a spade. One of the reasons why they're often taken by these Islamic groups is because they're Christians.
But are they also taken because they believe, right or wrong, that they can get money for them? Because we have seen this happen in the past, and they believe that they are bargaining chips that are necessary.
Right, that was the second reason I brought up, and that's a very good one, too. But as you know, the article that you mentioned points out, and other analysts have noticed, this is a methodology that the Taliban, some of the Al-Qaeda offshoots in North Africa have been wont to practice, but ISIS, again, seems to buck that trend to some extent.
Jeremy, let me get to you, and I've only got a few seconds left, and then we'll take a break, come back and talk some more here. But has anybody from your group been accosted? Have you found any instances where you think that there might have been times when you might have been targeted?
There's certainly been times over the nearly decade that we've been here working in Iraq that we have been named, targeted, pursued. Violence has been done against us in various ways. But thankfully in this new era, since ISIS has really come on the scene in a very big way, none of our American staff have been targeted, though we have sadly had Iraqi staff who have come under at least threat, and many Iraqi friends who have died to the violence. So it is very real, it's very present, and And the American aid worker lives are not the only ones that matter.
All right, we're going to take a break here, come back and talk a little bit more about this. Plus, also when we return, it is life among the Kurds as well, and life among the shelling. Plus, the reality of a war that seems to have absolutely no limits. And then again, there's that issue of feeling safe and the risk that these people are in every day. It's coming up next on MidPoint. Consensus of the Kurds, and when they know that you're from America, I'm even curious what they say to you about the fact that they need help.
You know, relationship with the Kurds and the Kurdish sentiment toward America and Americans has changed over the last decade. We could almost do no wrong when we first arrived here. But there has been a sense that America has been late to the game, that America abandoned the Kurds, that America has not supported Kurdish aspirations for independence. And so some of that sentiment has soured. Americans aren't as welcomed, aren't quite as loved as they once were. Kurds would love to see Americans provide more material support, certainly military, but also foreign investment and humanitarian aid like that, which we're trying to do. So the dynamic is changing, but Kurds and Americans still have a good relationship. We have a great relationship with Kurds, and it is true, we do need each other.
Tim, we hear from a lot of people there, including some members of the militias, that talk about kissing the hands of the Americans and getting nothing in return, which is why many times they're going and taking help from Iran and other countries as well. Have we lost the Kurds? I mean, I know that may sound very foolish, but when you hear just in a couple of words there what Jeremy says, it seems as if we have lost that ability already, and we would have a long way to go to make it back up again.
No, because the Kurds, besides the Israelis, really are our closest friends in the Middle East. And I've been to Istanbul several times, and the only place I ever saw pictures of George Bush were in Kurdish restaurants. So, you know, and obviously Mr. Courtney knows a lot more about on-the-ground activity than I do in this respect. But if you look, you know, geopolitically at the Kurdish situation and all the countries they're located in, they know that there's one outside power that not always, but more than any other, they can count on for help. And that's the United States. And the Kurds know that. They don't harbor any illusions about anyone else.
I'm curious now, Jeremy, as we only have about a minute and a half left here, what's next for you folks here? You do so much good work for the kids. You're helping the doctors. What are you still trying to get through there? What is the next step in order to help bring these people some sense of hope?
Well, let me cut through the statistics for a moment. I mean, when we're talking about millions of people, the humanity of it all can get lost. So let me just tell you about a little kid named Mohammed. He's what's next. We were out in the village to which he has been displaced, forcibly moved to this village. And Mohammed has this life-threatening heart defect. Mohammed needs an urgent surgery or he's going to die. So he's gotten out of ISIS's clutches, and yet he's still not safe if he doesn't get this life-saving heart surgery. So we were in his village just a couple of days ago and found out that he needed this heart surgery. So we're actively working to try and raise just $5,000 that we need to help try and get Mohammed his heart surgery. And then Mohammed's not just going to get his life saved, God willing, he's going to stand as a lighthouse to his entire community of hundreds of people who have been displaced by ISIS. And it's going to instill hope back in that community. And he's going to stand as a beacon of hope and goodness for all those who are looking on. So Mohammed's what's next. We're trying to save Mohammed's life through our website, preemptivelove.org. And I think that when we do that, God willing, we're going to be able to really encourage and move from strength to strength, helping others, thousands across the country.
Brilliant help. We've only got a few seconds left, and this one comes to you, Tim. We're just getting word a former U.S. Air Force mechanic charged with trying to cross into Syria to join ISIS. He's a gentleman from Brooklyn, New York. I've only got about 20 seconds left. Your immediate reaction?
I'm just surprised that it's taken this long, Ed. I would imagine that they've been actively trying to recruit disaffected people, particularly Muslims in our military, and now they've managed to do it.
It's unfortunate. We're going to have to follow the story and see, because I'm sure there are others as well. Jeremy, Courtney, fascinating work that you're doing there. Please keep up the marvelous work. We will stay in touch. Tim Furnish, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Hillary Clinton has lots of friends, but according to our next guest, perhaps reality is not one of them. The two of them go left and right when MidPoint continues.